Riot is destroying KENCH. With upcoming changes that I will go over, they are effectively completely removing KENCH from top lane. Is that right? Is that not right? Personally, I actually don't like it. KENCH has obviously been a very divisive character, with some people thinking that he should be utterly butchered in the streets, and I certainly do agree he is a very frustrating character. Now, I'm going to go over throughout this video what makes him overpowered, and later on we're going to talk, well actually the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the changes that are killing him, then we're going to talk about what's been making him overpowered, then we're going to talk about what Riot has done or not done as if it's fair to be killing this champion. Before we go on, for the purposes of helping everyone to understand maybe in the future, or maybe those of you who don't fight KENCH, I'm going to be putting some funny clips that I've taken over the past couple of months on KENCH. Now, this isn't meant to say he's the most broken character ever, so you can get clips of any character and show them as overpowered. I just want to show this for the purposes of showing you why KENCH can be very frustrating, why he can be seen as extremely overpowered, and why perhaps Riot can see him as a character that they should be removing from top lane. Tommy time! Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. There we go. How is Riot killing KENCH? I suppose that's probably the first thing I should go over real quick. Riot is killing KENCH. They are increasing the slow of his Q from 40% to 50% slow, but this is the actual more important one. Thick skin is being changed, much like Pike was changed, to get the full benefit only if there are 2 or more visible enemy champions nearby. If there are not 2 more visible enemy champions nearby, the damage to gray health is being changed from 45 to 65 to 15 to 55. That is a 30% reduction at rank 1, as in the entire laning phase, and a 10% reduction at rank 5 of how much damage gets converted into gray health. That effectively annihilates KENCH from the top lane completely. He goes from being able to change 45% of all damage taken into a shield to 15%. That means effectively 1/3 of the gray health you used to generate is what you're getting now. That basically destroys KENCH, even with this Q slow buff. The other change they're doing is his Devour is going to shield for more, with more AP ratio, whatever that matters, and he will get a movement speed buff when eating an ally instead of being slowed. Between these changes, they're clearly trying to push KENCH back into the support role, which is interesting because they try to push him into top lane out of the support role. So I guess the question is, why is KENCH so hard to balance? Why is he being butchered again? Why does he keep going from support to top to support to top? Why can't they just keep him in top lane and actually make it balanced? So what is something that makes KENCH extremely difficult to counter build? That would be what I'm going to call KENCH's triple threat. Now, with a normal tank, you have high armor. I've built no items here to mess with anything, but in a normal tank, they've got high armor, correct? So you want to build some sort of armor pen, correct? Everybody would agree with that and understand that idea. Well, Tahm Kench has a unique addition to that in addition to having high armor, he's got big shields. And then in addition to those big shields and big armor, he's got healing. The combination of a champion with very high armor, who then also heals a lot, who then also shields a lot, means that you're going to need armor pen to hurt him because he's a tank. But then often you're going to need some sort of healing reduction to get through that healing. Now, you can obviously, very, very obviously, you can just build a bunch of armor pen, a bunch of damage, and churn through it. However, not every champion has a sustained damage, and I'm sure you've played against Tahm Kench to know that a lot of these champions can really struggle with getting enough damage to kill Tahm Kench. How many times have you played against him between the Grasp the Undying healing, between his Q healing, between his E shield spam, that you really struggle to be able to kill him? Getting to armor pen on many champions can be a difficult enough task early in the game. Then you'll typically want some sort of healing reduction. Now, I'm not saying you need a shield buster and a heal buster and an armor pen buster, but because Tahm Kench's defenses are spread out throughout 3 different types of defenses, the healing, the armor, and the shielding, or the magic resist, I suppose I could say that the magic resist if you're a magic damage healer, this makes him very hard to counter build. It makes him very resistant. Unlike other tanks, it makes him very resistant to being counter built. This is actually somewhat of a huge advantage. So, in addition to everything I just said, what other things can make Tahm Kench extremely difficult to balance? Well, Maokai is a similar tank who's very difficult to put down. You need to get armor pen, you need to get healing reduction, you don't need to get anti-shielding, but the thing is, Maokai doesn't deal that much damage. So it's very frequent that people will just build a lot of damage and chew through Maokai. You can't do that with Tahm Kench. Why? Why do a lot of people end up needing to go magic resist? In addition to everything I just said, they need to go magic resist to deal with them. Because Tahm Kench deals a lot of damage, unlike some of these other tanks. Now, it's okay for a tank to deal damage. It's okay for Tahm Kench to be a juggernaut. I'm merely explaining things. A lot of people don't really understand the difference between, between explaining things and, let's say, complaining. So why does Tahm Kench do so much damage? His W is 100 to 240. That's not that much. 100 at rank 1. That's a high number, but that's not insane. His E doesn't do damage. His ultimate has had its damage nerfed into the ground at 100 to 400 damage plus 15% health. That's good, but that's not fantastic. So where is he getting all this damage? Well, his Q, for some reason that I still can't figure, never got nerfed from 80 to 280 base damage. But worse than that, when his Q also applies his passive, that means his Q is actually doing 88 to 340 damage plus 2.5% bonus health. That's a lot of damage. At level 1, with literally no items, you can see that doing 88 damage. At level 1, that's not so incredible. In fact, he's only got 8 on his passive. This is not really that terrifying. With 56 damage, Tahm Kench is like 14 less damage than some other melee champions. Well, oh boy, this is when we get into tank damage and why tanks can often deal so much damage. If you look at my build here, I've got Grasp the Undying and I've got Shield Bash. Now pay attention to my passive. When I level this champion up, and a lot of people don't notice this, but right now I have 8. When I level up, I'm just gonna go to 9. I have 40 on my passive. That's 40 on each attack. So you can see now I've gone from 8 damage to 40. I've built no items, nothing. I just have that much more damage on hit. My Q now is doing 320 because, oh, right, because I'm not at level 18 yet, that's obvious. So at level 9, my Q is 320 base damage. That's extraordinarily high, actually. That's kind of crazy. I never actually did the math on that in my head. Damn. So in addition to my Q doing massive damage, my auto attacks do good damage, but then I also have the Grasp the Undying proc, which does pretty good damage, but then I also have the Shield Bash from Thick Skin. Now, you've probably seen a lot of Tahm Kench players. Let me see if I can try to do this properly. You've probably seen a lot of Tahm Kench players who just spam their E basically whenever they can get it off. Actually, I can't do it. Okay, let's do it right here. So, if I can show you here, if I take one hit, I press E, there's a shield bash. I take another hit, I press E, there's a shield bash. I take another hit, there's an E, or there's a shield bash. You can see here, shield bash has already contributed 78 damage. So between my passive hitting you, and my Q hitting you, and my shield bash hitting you, and my grasp and dying hitting you, and I just want to mention this on shield bash. A lot of people don't know, shield bash scales on a base amount of damage, plus a percentage of your bonus HP, then also on the shield amount. It doesn't only scale on how big the shield is. So if you're spamming this E, you're getting that health ratio, and you're getting that base damage over and over again. That's why you see these Tahm Kenches spamming E. Between all these sources of damage, these all add up. And this makes Tahm Kench actually somewhat of a high damage champion. Once we start factoring in the Frostfire Gauntlet, with its damage aura, with its damage on hit, that's a lot of damage coming out, and I'm sure a lot of people have probably fought Tahm Kench and thought to yourself, God damn, this guy's really hurting me. In fact, here's one thing you might have noticed. Merely with the bonus HP I've gotten from proccing Grasp and Dying, my passive has already gone to 41 damage. We're already up another damage here. So yeah, that's why Tahm Kench does a lot of damage and is a pretty terrifying champion. Properly, what they'll do is they'll eat in this sort of situation, correct? You see that you eat the target dummy, right? Well, actually, in that sort of situation, what you can do to even eke out more damage, and here, let me refresh my cooldowns. You can, even if you're in melee range, you can use your Q and eat them and spit it back out. So if I was to turn my auto refresh cooldowns off, now I'm at full cooldowns right now, just to make that clear. So I don't have any ability haste or anything like that. If I do this, and I've healed off my Q and I've dealt damage off it, you can see here, if I have any amount of ability haste, I would be right back into another Q after I spit them out. That's... wow, once a lot of Tahm Kench players learn to just melee range QR, yeah boy, that added a lot, didn't it? So with that out of the way, I hope you all understand why he's been difficult to balance and why he's pretty overpowered right now. But this is the part that gets a little bit more frustrating to me. Instead of trying to balance Tahm Kench, they, as I explained earlier, they're utterly destroying him from top lane. Gone. That change removes him from top lane entirely. Now, I actually enjoy playing him, and if you guys want to comment and talk about if you enjoy or don't enjoy Tahm Kench, feel free to go do that. But, you know, I'd like to actually have Tahm Kench in top lane. I do think he's fun to play. I do think there is some gameplay about him, and certainly he's more interesting to fight and to play than someone like Malphite, who inevitably is just going to end up replacing him. But let's talk about why this gets so frustrating to me. The last time they actually tried to balance Tahm Kench was 11.16. Now, it is currently January, let me read this, January 10th as I'm making this. January 10th, 2022. The last time they tried to balance Tahm Kench was August 11th, 2021. 4 months ago. 4 months ago. That is the last time they nerfed him, they tried any attempt to balance him, that's it. Now, I can understand, if we look at the win rate here, we can see Tahm Kench is pretty overpowered. But, is he more overpowered than Shen? Basically the same win rate, basically the same pick rate, much higher ban rate, as he's obviously more frustrating than Shen, but realistically, the same. So this is a champion they haven't tried to balance for 4 months, and then they're deciding to utterly obliterate him. That doesn't seem right to me, that doesn't seem fair. I like my really frustrating Tommy boy. I like my tadpole, my ribbit, okay? He's a cool character at the end of the day. I feel like top lane would lose something without this extremely annoying piece of shit in there, okay? And it's frustrating to me that 4 months went by. They made no attempt to try to rebalance these numbers, to try to do anything. All they've done is they said, we're gonna annihilate him. And that's pretty much how this video ends. So I've gone over what makes him strong. I've gone over what's destroying him. I've gone over that, yeah, he's obviously overpowered, but he's cool. He does cool shit. It's funny. And he's just gone. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. Now, as we can see through these patch notes, we've gone through this a lot. Tahm Kench has been rebalanced a lot. He's gone from top to bot to top again to bot to back to top. Now he's going back to bot. And I feel like at a certain point, Riot should admit that maybe it would be better. I know I keep saying this. Do more than nothing. Do more than nothing, Riot. Try to keep him in top lane. Try to do something. Do more than nothing. Okay? I think that's fair. So, again, if you disagree, leave a comment. Do whatever you want, okay? It's fine. It's fine if you disagree with me. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for continuing to support the channel. Thank you to my Patreon supporters who they're going to be up on screen here somewhere. Thank you all for subscribing to my Patreon. You can see the link in the description. It helps me a lot. As little as $3 can immensely support me. We will, or at the very least, I will continue to make videos like this for people like you. I hope you enjoyed this one. This is a little bit of a different style. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a different style. Always feel free to leave feedback, even negative. It helps. So thank you, everybody. Once again, have a great day. Have a great rest of your time. Thank you all. Goodbye.